Hi, my name is Shreya, and I'm going to be teaching you about the Earth's layers. And this is my project that I made. So, my question for Passion Time is the Earth's layers. Can I teach others about the Earth's surface in one nonfiction writing piece? So, I basically made a nonfiction writing piece. So, let's start with the crust. The crust is the part of the earth that we walk on. It is the very top of the earth, like the skin of the earth. It is the coldest part of the earth. It is not that cold, it's just that the others are very hot. If the crust was hot, we would burn our feet every time that we step on it. The crust is a mix of water and land, different from others, which are made of hard iron. If you were to compare all of the layers, the crust would be the different one because it's not hot. It has water, and plants can't grow in any other layer other than the crust. It consists 10 miles of rock and loose material. The crust is an extremely important layer, just like the rest of the layers of the earth. So, the crust is one of the layers of the earth, one of the four. So let's go on to the next layer, the mantle. The mantle is the next layer of the earth. It is made out of hard iron. The mantle makes up about 84% of the Earth's volume, which is a lot. Earth's mantle is a silicate, rocky shell with an average thickness of 2,886 kilometers, which is also 1,793 miles. The mantle, which contains more iron, magnesium, and calcium than the crust, is hotter and denser because the temperature and pressure inside the earth increases with depth. So, the mantle is one of the the biggest layer of the earth because you can see 80% of the earth. That's a lot of the earth. And yeah, the mantle is the biggest layer of all the earth's layers, just like I was saying. And it has an upper mantle and a lower mantle, but they are not separate like the inner core and the outer core are. Without the mantle, the earth would be much smaller, like 84% smaller, according to the video. Because if we didn't have the mantle, 80% of the Earth's volume would have been gone. So you can just imagine how small the Earth would be. Probably as big as the moon almost. So let's go on to the next slide. So the next layer is the outer core. The third layer of the Earth is the outer core, and its name makes sense because it is outwards of the inner core. The outer core of the Earth is a liquid layer about 2,300 kilometers, 1,400 miles thick, and composed of iron and nickel. The outer core is not under enough pressure to be solid, so it's liquid, even though it has a composition similar to the inner core. The outer core is 2,020 kilometers thick. Because the outer core moves around the inner core, Earth's magnetism is created. Like the crust, the outer core also is made out of mostly water. The outer core is a very unique layer of the Earth, just like all the other layers, but the outer core is similar to the crust actually because they're both liquid. Well, made of mostly liquid. The crust is made of 75% liquid, because of the water of the oceans. So, anyway, let's go to the next slide, which is the inner core. The final core, like this, a little ball inside of the Earth. The inner core is the last layer of the Earth. It is located in the very center of the Earth. And unlike the other layers, the inner core is a ball and others are loops. Like, if you can just imagine a little tiny bouncy ball and a bunch of layers around it that makes it bigger. The little tiny ball in the center of it is representing the inner core. The inner core is about 7,200 to 9,000 degrees. It is very hot. In Fahrenheit, it is 4, and in Celsius, it's 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Celsius. One way to imagine the inner core is think of a hot iron ball. Just like I was saying with the thing that you could do with a little tiny bouncy ball in the center and then a lot of layers around it. That's very similar to the inner core, but the inner core is extremely hot. Although it is one of the smallest, the inner core is also the hottest layer. I think that the world would be much colder if there wasn't an inner core, because its heat is so strong that it could go through all of the layers and warm up our Earth. So, yeah, all of the layers are very important. And now let's go to my conclusion, a special conclusion that I made out of all the layers. So, my conclusion is that during this project, I learned that all the layers are equally important. I also learned that the Earth's layers are different sizes and shapes. They all have different unique qualities. The layers are made out of different materials, and the crust and outer core are made up of water, and the mantle and the inner core are made up of solid iron. So they're much different, as you see. Two have similar qualities, two have very much different qualities. Even though it was a little tough understanding the tricky words of all the layers, I actually learned a lot. My favorite layer to learn about was the mantle. But all of the layers are important. I like learning about the mantle because it has so many interesting facts about the different sizes and shapes and how big it is, like 84%. That's a lot. So now I'm going to show you the different drawings that I made with Google Drawing. So the first one that you see just represents all the different cores and what, like, the layers and what their name is. The second one gives you a close-up look of how, like, the actual length of them. Like, you see the crust, which is blue on the outside, is very small. Mantle is pretty big. The inner core and the outer core are also pretty big. And this one also gives, the last one also gives a label of them all. So I'll show you the next slide now. And the last one is just a bunch of pictures. So you can see this big picture in the middle. It just shows like what I was talking about in the conclusion and in the inner core page. The inner core is like a tiny little ball, and then the outer core is a little loop, and so same with the other layers. And the crust is a very thin layer that just goes on top of the mantle. And you can see the size of the mantle compared to all the others. And you can see how the inner core is just a little tiny ball. And then on the top, the first picture is just a little triangle showing the Earth's layers, and they're all just representing labeling and stuff. And this very center one is inner core, the gray thing. This one's the main picture of the inner core. So yeah. Now that was my presentation. Now, here's a good website that I found online. I like to give a lot of credit to this website because it taught me a lot. It has very good information. It happens to be kidsearthscience.com. And yeah. And anyway, these images really helped me. So as you see with all these images, they have very good like diagrams of what all the pictures look like of the different cores and stuff. So that's basically it. And here's a lot of links that I came up with for all the websites to help me. There's 6 different links. So I guess that's it. So these are all the Earth's layers.